Alrighty, so we'll go ahead and get started. So hi, everyone. My name is Lori Salazar, and I'm the Associate Director for the Center for Student Involvement here at Santa Clara, and so excited for you all to join our webinar this evening. And I'm going to kick it off to Trista for her to introduce herself and the rest of the team.
Hi there, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're at. That I just saw a chat that at least one of us can't hear us. Are we okay? Okay, good. We're in good shape. Great. Wonderful. Okay, welcome everyone to the parent webinar for billing, financial aid, and health insurance. We're glad you've joined us, and this will be a jam-packed hour. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. We have a few presenters today, but first wanted to welcome everyone to the Bronco family. We're so excited to have you join us and to have your students join us in September. And we're gearing up and getting ready and able to answer all your questions in preparation for that. So thanks for joining us today. My name is Trista San Augustine, and I am the director of our one-stop office here at Santa Clara University, and I'm joined by Stephanie Blanco in financial aid and Tammy O in our health insurance department, and they'll be speaking during the second and third parts of the session. So I'm going to share my screen and get started so that we can move forward and finish by 7 o'clock. And I would just ask that as we go through the presentation, if you do have questions, please feel free to use the chat option, as we have a few staff members in the background that can answer questions as we go through the presentation. Hopefully your questions will be answered throughout the presentation, but sometimes something will spark a question and you're welcome to throw that into the chat so we can get an answer for you. So we have, again, myself, Trista San Augustine, Director of the One Stop. Stephanie Blanco is Assistant Director in the Financial Aid Office, and Tammy O, again, is our Health Insurance Coordinator. So our overview today, we're going to talk about a couple different offices here on campus. Our Bursar's office, which is everything billing, and lots of information on their website. I'll introduce the one-stop office. We'll talk about a couple key terminology, FERPA, and authorized payers, and we'll be able to show you how easily students can grant permission to have parents or other third parties gain access to information that you need. We'll go over our online billing and payment center. We'll talk about the Cowell Health Center and the Cowell Health Insurance Plan. For those who don't have health insurance, you'll want to make sure to purchase that. And for those that do, we'll talk about the waiver process of the university insurance plan. The doers tuition insurance plan, another type of insurance that we'll talk about. So we don't want to confuse the two. There's two different types of insurance that we'll talk about. And then our refund policies, which are important as far as withdrawing from the university, getting tuition money back, and so on. And Lori, I believe we are recording this session. So anyone who does miss the session can watch the recording. Anyone who has questions after the session can go back and look up the recording on our YouTube channel. We also will have just the slide deck available on the Bursar's office website and also on the One Stop website. So a little bit about the Bursar's office. This office is responsible for management and integrity of Santa Clara's student accounting record. We process all tuition, fees, health insurance, tuition insurance, room and board, financial aid, and other charges. So everything that might show up on a bill, the Bursar's office collects all of those charges, all of those payments, all of those financial aid, so that it shows on the bill. They're responsible for the administration of our billing workday portal. So your student will have, or currently has, access to their workday portal. That's what we call our student online portal. And that's where students do everything from viewing and paying their bill, registering for classes, viewing their grades, viewing their schedule, viewing their financial aid, everything. Finance and registration is done through the Workday portal. And then the Bursar's office also processes refunds of overpayments and sends money back to different agencies. This is a screenshot of our Bursar's office website, which has lots of information that you can find here, and links to different how-tos, how students can get things done, how parents and authorized payers can get things done as well. Our one-stop office is really an extension of our Bursar's office and financial aid and our office of the registrar. And we're located on campus in the admissions and enrollment services building. So if anyone recalls visiting our undergraduate admission office, maybe when your student was a prospective student and you got a campus tour, we're in that same building on the first floor. Easy contact information, and we're open throughout the summer to answer your questions as well. So our one-stop office is sort of the lobby or the customer service of these three critical offices on campus. What we've found is that students can't register for classes without first paying their bill from a prior term, and many students, the high majority of students, can't pay their bill without some sort of financial aid, loans, scholarships, grants, and so on. So these three offices, while they're separate entities, lots of questions overlap. So we created this one-stop office where our staff is cross-trained to answer questions on all three types of questions. So again, we're located in the admissions and enrollment services building. So our first set of terminology here is the FERPA regulation, or the FERPA release, we like to call it, which is it's a federal regulation. So any school that any student, any college or university that any student goes to has these same rules and regulations. Since it's a federal regulation, this is the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act. Essentially what it says is, now that your student is enrolled in a university, higher education, they have a right to their own privacy. So very different from a high school setting where parents maybe are receiving emails on a nightly basis showing students progress in classes. You're able to email the teachers, the administration, and get information at any time. Now the student needs to first authorize release of that. And so what we have on the student's Workday portal is a FERPA release option where the student can log into their Workday portal and authorize that we can speak to you. So many reasons why we want this. We definitely want students to be responsible for their own classes, their own schedule, their own billing, their own financial aid, as we teach them sort of how to be responsible in the real world. But we know that as parents, you're paying the bill, you're helping fill out the FAFSA, you're doing all these things to help, and we want you to be involved. We just need the student to authorize us to be able to speak with you. So on the student's Workday portal, this will be one of the homework assignments at the end of the session, that we ask you to remind your student to complete the FERPA release on their Workday portal. And that is under their student profile. They can go to complete the FERPA release, and our office can walk students through that over the phone, have them give us a call if they are having difficulty. The FERPA release form, this is just a screenshot of what this looks like on the student's Workday portal. Again, they will go to the view profile option in their Workday portal and choose the personal tab. And that's where they can see the additional data tab and complete the FERPA release by clicking that edit button in the white section there. And they can complete as many releases as they would like. Parents, grandparents, whomever is helping to pay the bill or might need to call us, they can add that information to the FERPA release. The authorized payer, again, is another terminology that we want parents and students to be familiar with. This is different than the FERPA release, but equally important. What the authorized payer allows parents and other third parties to do is to have your own username and password where you can log into our billing site, where you can view the bills, pay the bills, set up a payment plan, view the financial aid, and see how that reduces the bill. So we encourage all students, as another homework item at the end of the session, to set you up as an authorized payer. That will allow you to receive an email from us, which has a temporary password and a link to the site where you can set up your own password. Remember that for the next 4 years and use that to view the billing. But again, students need to set you up first. So as I mentioned, students are really the person of record at Santa Clara University. So while parents are helping, the student is ultimately responsible for adhering to our policies and deadlines. So we do want the students to be involved. We send students billing email reminders, but we also send them to the authorized payers. So students are involved, and we want them to complete their new student onboarding, which most of our first-year students have already done so. The onboarding is sort of a set of steps that students go through online on their Workday portal to get themselves ready for registering for classes, which they're going to be doing later this month in their online sessions. One of the onboarding steps is a financial agreement that students need to sign each year that goes over our terms and conditions for being a student. And so most students have already done that. And there will be a notification on the students' Workday portal if they haven't yet. So they'll get lots of reminders. So this page goes into a little bit more about the money. So it has our annual tuition and fees up at the top, the per quarter amount here. So the way that Santa Clara billing works is we are a quarter school. So we have 3 main terms: fall, winter, and spring. So very different than a semester school. We have a fall term, winter term, and a spring term. And then our summer term is optional. So not all students take summer classes, but there are summer classes offered. So per quarter, every fall, winter, and spring, students that are enrolled full-time, which is 12 units or more, are charged $19,529. We'll go over billing deadlines in a minute, but the first billing statement is going to be available on August 1st, and all students and their authorized payers will receive an email notification about the fall billing statement. That'll be on August 1st, and our due date for the fall is August 21st. So again, we'll see the quarterly flat rate of full-time tuition, $19,529. And for any students that are enrolled less than 12 units, which is very rare, we want students to be full-time so that they can get in and out in 4 years. Many times students in their last quarter here may only need 1 or 2 classes to complete their degree, and they will be charged a per unit rate for less than 12 units. But for the high majority of students, you're full-time and you're being charged the quarterly rate. The billing statement will have the housing rate wherever your student will be staying in the residence halls. The quarterly housing amount does include the student's meal plan, and that meal plan has points that are given to the student in their access card, which is generally on their phone. It's a mobile credential, and they use their phone to pay for their food at the dining hall. But the billing statement will have the room and board rate on the billing statement, which includes the meal plan. Students will be receiving the information about which residence hall they'll be staying in, and that's coming up, I believe, in late July or early August. The university has a university enhancement fee, which is $218 per quarter, and that goes towards it's more like a student activities fee, common amongst universities. So that's separate from tuition. And Tammy will talk about our health insurance plan. Students do not need to be double covered. So if your student already has and is covered by a medical insurance plan, we do need the student to complete the health insurance waiver to let us know that you already have insurance. For those students who are not covered under another plan, you will be charged the health insurance plan annual amount on the fall statement. So this August 1st statement coming up. So this $3,030, this rate is currently pending the Department of Insurance approval, may be subject to change, but this is the information we've been given so far. So waivers need to be completed by September, but we would love it if you could complete the waiver during the month of July so that the insurance charge is not showing on your August billing statement. Not the end of the world if it is. You have plenty of time to complete the waiver, but it's cleaner if you can complete the waiver in the month of July. And the sponsored tuition insurance plan is like any other insurance. You purchase the insurance and it covers your tuition if up to 80% of your tuition if a student needs to withdraw from the university due to diagnosed medical or mental health situation. So this insurance plan, students are automatically enrolled and you're automatically charged $59 per quarter, a relatively small fee compared to the amount of money that you could save if your student unexpectedly needs to withdraw from the term. Our billing is processed electronically. So we will not be sending any bills in the mail. We will be sending email notifications to all students and their authorized payers on the 1st of each month, letting everyone know that there is a billing statement available to view in your authorized payer portal. So again, the importance of being set up as an authorized payer, you receive notification and billing statements. The bills will show the charges minus the credits, and then it will show the net amount that you owe, and that amount will be due August 21st. And again, a reminder of how important FERPA and authorized payer are, because once you receive the billing statement, if you have any questions, please give us a call. We're happy to help, but we do need that FERPA release on file in order to provide information. And it also helps if you can also view the billing statements as an authorized payer. This is a screenshot of what you will see as an authorized payer. So the screen looks like this with the black banner on the left-hand side, showing all the different options that you can choose. You can see an overview, just a quick and dirty, what do I owe? Activity details, payment plans. You can make a payment here on this site. You can view prior transactions, view current and prior statements. And this is where your student can set you up as an authorized payer. So the student has access to this page as well through their Workday portal. So as a student, your student will log in and click on the My Account at the top, and that's where they will be able to set you up as an authorized payer. And then you'll be able to see this same screen and look around, view the bills and make payments. Lots of information here, but really the point I want to get across, this is a sample of a payment plan. So if you decide to set up a payment plan and spread out your payments over the 3 months of the term, you can do so instead of paying in full by August 21st. The payment plan option allows you to enroll in the payment plan and make your first payment by August 21st, but then you'll have 2 more payments in September and October to pay off the fall quarter in full. And then you'll do the same thing for the winter and the spring. So just know that there is a payment plan option to split up the payments if you don't want to pay in full in August and December and March, which is when the payments are due. Another sample, this is a sample billing statement. So on your authorized payer portal, when you click on the statements option, you will see a PDF, and that's what this information here is. So these statements are handy if there's a third-party entity that's paying the bill, such as a 529 college savings account, or another family member who would like to see the billing statement before they submit payment to us. This has our PO box on it, so all payments go to our PO box instead of a street address, unless you're mailing an overnight mail, and then we do have a street address. But the statements will show a breakdown of all charges, all financial aid and credits, and then you'll see the total amount due at the bottom, which is the amount that you pay. Payment deadlines. So here's some important dates that really don't change. On the first of every month, we create the statement and send you an email to remind you that there's a statement that can be viewed on your authorized payer portal. And each bill is always due on the 21st of the month, so these never change. In the fall quarter, we bill on August 1st, and the due date is August 21st. The winter quarter, we bill on December 1st with a due date of December 21st. And the spring quarter, we bill on March 1st with the due date of March 21st. Any payments that are not received or any outstanding balance that is still outstanding after the 21st is subject to a $100 late payment fee and a hold preventing registration. So really, as going back to the student being held responsible for making sure that these payments are made, students can't register for the next term's classes until their bill from the prior term is paid in full. So we really want to make sure that students are logging into their Workday portal often and checking for holds and making sure that when their registration date and time come up, that they have no holds on their account and they'll be free to register. So students are registering for their classes this month during the month of July in our advising sessions, and they'll log into their advising session that they RSVP'd for, and they'll register for their classes and get their questions answered by faculty advisors. So they'll have some help for the fall quarter, but in the winter quarter, they will be, they'll still have access to advising help if they need, but the registration process will be on their own. They'll log in from their residence halls and they'll register for classes on their own. So we really want to make sure that bills are paid on time so that students can do so without any additional stress. Payment options. So we mentioned the authorized payer portal where you can log in and pay. We do not accept credit cards or debit cards of any kind. So the online payment portal through your authorized payer portal will be payment from your checking or savings account, a regular checking or savings account. So we will ask you to enter your bank account number and your routing number in order to make those payments. You can mail a check to our PO box. International students can pay through a third party called Flywire. And walk-in payments to the one-stop office are allowed as well. And we have computers here in our lobby. If a student needs to come in and needs some help paying their bill, we can walk them through it. We do receive a lot of 529 college savings account payments. Those checks, they come to us in the form of a check. The companies will cut a check and mail those checks to us. So anyone who is having their tuition paid for through a 529 college savings account, make sure that you initiate that payment as soon as the bill comes out to allow on the first of the month, to allow ample time for the company to cut the check and mail it to us so that we can have it processed here at the university. And again, we don't take credit or debit cards of any kind. So our payment plan quickly is, again, Using the fall term as an example, we will create the billing statement on August 1st and send that out to all students and authorized payers. If you choose to pay your portion, whatever financial aid does not cover, by the 21st of the month in full, please do so. If you choose to spread those payments out over the 3 months of the term, that is an option as well through the payment plan. So interest is not charged, but there's a $40 enrollment fee to set up the payment plan. And this can be set up on your authorized payer portal. For students who are doing this on their own behalf, this can also be done in their Workday portal. Again, payments are submitted via the e-check or the ACH option only, automated clearinghouse. So we will ask for your banking information on your authorized payer portal in order to set up the payment plan. And payment plans are 1/3 is withdrawn from your account in August, 1/3 in September, and 1/3 in October. And then the fall payment plan is over. And then we will ask you to re-enroll in December for the winter quarter and re-enroll in the plan again if you choose to do so in the spring in March. So that is one of the important reminders, is that this is not a 9-month plan that goes through the entire year. This is a 3-month plan that expires at the end of every quarter, and then you re-enroll. The tuition insurance plan, we talked briefly about that. Again, all students are automatically enrolled in the tuition insurance, and you'll see a $59 charge on your quarterly statements. And this is for students that unexpectedly need to withdraw from the university for any diagnosed medical or mental health withdrawals. So we all come to campus and we all start school thinking everything's going to be hunky-dory and everything's fine. Students get sick, students break bones, things happen. And so we want to make sure that students are covered and your tuition payments are insured in the unplanned event that a student needs to withdraw. So there's a period of time where students can withdraw from the university and get all of their money back, and that is the first week of class, the first week of class only. After the first week of class, if a student needs to withdraw, they will not receive 100% of their tuition back. And so if a student needs to withdraw due to medical or mental health reasons, the tuition insurance kicks in. So again, it's a nominal fee, but it can save you thousands in a situation where a student does need to withdraw from the university. There is a waiver option if you choose to opt out of the tuition insurance, usually for families who have a full tuition scholarship of some kind. And so they're not paying any out-of-pocket tuition costs. That would be a reason to opt out of the plan. And that deadline to do so is September 17th, and the website is here. Tuition refund and refunds for credit balances. Quickly, we'll go through this, but there's more information on our Bursar's office website. At Santa Clara, there's two sort of very different definitions of refund. The tuition refund is a policy for students who need to withdraw from the university. And as I mentioned, students receive 100% of the tuition back reversed from their account if they withdraw from the university, meaning cancel all their classes and stop attending during the first week of class, by the Friday of the first week of class. Starting the Monday of the second week of class, students who withdraw only receive 50% of the tuition back. So the percent of tuition refund drops drastically by the Monday of week 2. So not a lot of time. And then it goes down from there, 25% during the third week, and no tuition refund at all when students withdraw after the 4th week. This is why the tuition insurance is so important for those medical and mental health withdrawals. The second refund definition is an overpayment on a student's account. So if financial aid is covering more than the costs there will be a credit balance on that student's account. And students are eligible to receive that refund in the form of a direct deposit so that they can use that excess money for other education related expenses, like paying for books and supplies, or paying for transportation to and from school, or personal expenses, and so on. So keep that in mind as well if there's an overpayment on the student's account. So we have some reminders here that I had mentioned before. Setting up a checking account, a joint checking account for your students so that you can monitor their account, but they are also financially responsible, is a great idea. Have your students set up the authorized payer and FERPA. If you do choose to opt out of the tuition insurance, that must be done by September 17th. We do want students to complete the health insurance waiver, which Tammy will talk about shortly. And our refund policies, of course, are on the Bursar's office website. And we're here to help. So please send students our way. Once the FERPA release is updated, please don't hesitate to give us a call. We are happy to help. Our contact information is here. And I will turn it over to Stephanie Blanco, who will tell us a little more about financial aid.
Alrighty. Yeah, thank you so much, Trista. My name is Stephanie Blanco here at the Financial Aid Office. And I'm sure you guys have already had questions with us, you know, if you done the one-on-one appointments with us, if you guys gone to the preview weekend. So all of this information that I'm going to go, it's very brief, but you're always welcome at the end. We can answer any questions or call the one stop. So again, this is just going to be right now what you should be accepting for the financial aid, right? So these are the types of aid that a student can be eligible for. So it breaks down in different categories, right? So there is the federal and state aid. So this is going to be, for instance, the Pell Grant, the federal supplement, and the Cal Grant. Again, the Cal Grant is for any of our California resident students to be eligible for it. To be eligible for these types of scholarships, the student does need to submit the FAFSA each year. So I also tell my students that each year it could potentially change depending on the parent's income. So it is important that if the student is receiving these to do the FAFSA by March 2nd, especially if you are receiving the Cal Grant. Any type of financial aid that you receive from Santa Clara, for instance, the SCU Bronco Scholarship, the SCU Need-Based, any types of merit scholarships like the Dean's, Provost, Presidential, those are going to be Santa Clara based, right? So these are going to be for our first year students. They are renewable for 12 consecutive quarters or 4 years. We do not include summer. So it's going to be fall, winter, and spring. These are going to be renewable at the same amount. Unfortunately, they don't increase, except for, I believe, like the Provost and Presidential, which are indexed, but the rest do not increase. So that's very important as well. If the student is receiving the SCU Need-Based Grant, we do ask that the student does submit the FAFSA. It doesn't necessarily mean that we'll take it away, right? We're not going to take away that money, but if the student is receiving some type of SCU Need-Based, they're potentially receiving also the Pell Grant, Cal Grant. So we always encourage the students to submit the FAFSA. Then there is a federal work study that I do tell students that these funds are going to be paid directly to them, right? They are going to be on their paycheck. So if a student is receiving the federal work study, that aid is not going to get taken out of the bill, right? It's just saying this is how much potentially a student can receive from federal work study. So again, it's just like working a job. The student's going to receive a paycheck regularly, right? And then the student federal loan, since the student is going to accept or decline any of these are the subsidized loans are interest-free, meaning the interest does not accrue, right, while the student is enrolled in college. And then the unsubsidized loan, however, that one, the interest is accruing. So that one, once we disperse the aid, that's when we'll start building up that interest. So we usually disperse the aid a week before the students start the fall term. So that's when the interest will start accruing into that one. Next slide, please. And for, again, if any of our students are going to be taking out the student loans, this is one homework that the student should do, is that the students will have to log in to studentaid.gov. Logging in with their FSA ID, they're going to have to complete these two requirements. So a first-time borrower students, they need to complete the master promissory note as well as the entrance counseling. So by logging into here and clicking complete NPN and complete an entrance counseling, that's where the student could basically go through this process, right? Please note that we cannot release these federal loans if these requirements are not met. And also student loans will need to be accepted or declined. We don't accept the aid automatically. We don't accept loans or the federal work study. The other aid we are going to automatically accept on the student's behalf. However, if the student is receiving those loans, to please go ahead and accept or decline them so that when you get that bill, you see that they are in that anticipated aid. Next slide. So if any of our parents want to take a look at the PLUS loan, I'm sure you guys are aware of this. This is just a loan that's going to be under the parent's name that basically you can take up to what they call the cost of attendance, right? To cover any, for instance, like the tuition, housing, or even like personal expenses, right? So applications are open now. The parent can go log into studentaid.gov by using their FSA ID as well. They will just have to complete the application as well as a master promissory note. That's very important. Sometimes our parents forget to complete that step. So they're basically gonna do this step, and then we will process it and put it into basically another line item into the student's financial aid. So you'll see that. And if you're interested, the interest rate for the upcoming year is going to be at 8%. I know that's pretty high. Some parents do opt out and say, okay, we'll go to somewhere else, like a private loan, right? But that's depending on basically the financial of the parents and the students. Yeah. Next slide. So accepting or declining any financial aid awards, this is just the steps on how the student can go ahead and do that through Workday. First, they're going to click on all the apps, that view all apps. And at the bottom, at your top apps section, or go to the menu, there's going to be 3 horizontal lines. And that's where you're going to click the plus sign and add the app. So it's basically going to be under what it says finances. And that's where you're going to go ahead and accept and decline any aid. So again, it's important just to do it before that August 1st billing, so that when you do get that bill, you'll see like the actual of what aid is going to anticipate it to disperse into the student's account. Next slide. Thank you. Verification. So for any of our students that have been selected for verification, they are going to be receiving information on their workday. So if they log in and they have like a checklist, and it does say like verification, the student is going to click on that and they're going to send in any requirement documentation through their portal, right? So do not send any information to us, but it's just going to be through there. If the student wants more information, the worksheets can be found under this link. The deadline is, we say August 15th. It's not a hard deadline, but this is just so that we can process it enough time. We can have enough time so that when we do disperse the aid in September, that it'll be set, right? So you don't have any holdups after your student has been enrolled, right? So that is very important for your student to know. If the student has been selected for verification, they could log into their portal and see that. The next slide, thank you. And this is just kind of like the process on how to do it. Again, they're going to have a checklist that says complete your verification information. And then the student is just going to submit those documents through, again, the portal of Workday. And then we'll receive it and then we'll process it. If we need any more information, we'll contact the student. The next slide. So appeals and professional judgment. So if any of our parents or students, have any of these special circumstances, we do take into consideration. So for instance, loss of income, accessible medical bills, death of a parent, divorce or separation. So if any of these throughout the year, we're definitely encourage students to go ahead and submit this information through there. Now, what this helps us is just to determine if we can potentially give more, for instance, federal aid. As well as it'll go to our committee that will look at for any additional Santa Clara aid. So again, this is always there for the students throughout the year. So that's a possibility. We do ask the students to have a FAFSA on file again, so that we can see, okay, what kind of federal aid can we potentially give our students, right? Plus any Santa Clara aid if we have it, right? So that's just the process of our appeal process. Next slide, thank you. And yeah, just remember to keep an eye for any incoming communication with us, right? We're gonna have contacting the student through the one-stop office as well as through like the Workday. So if the students do log into their Workday portal and they do see any kind of like action items, that's very important because that's going to hold up the student's financial aid to disperse, right? So action items could be, for instance, not signing the FAFSA, any type of like citizenship information, something that's kind of funky on the FAFSA that's saying, wait, hold on, we need more information. So again, if the student has any action items, to log in and to just contact us so that we can fix it before we disperse the aid, right? It is not too late to file the FAFSA. So the 2023-24 FAFSA is open. So if the student wants to, for instance, be eligible for, like the work study or the student loans, they're definitely encouraged to do that. For any of our students who are receiving Cal Grant, again, encourage it for March 2nd to submit it for any of our Dream Act students as well. And then again, all our communications comes from the one-stop office. And great news, you guys do not have to do the CSS profile anymore. So this is for our first time, our students or our first year. So for the upcoming year, we just ask the students to do the FAFSA to be eligible for the federal aid. And that's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Stephanie. Tammy, you are all set. We'd like to get started.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. My name is Tammy O, and I am the Health Insurance Coordinator here at the Cowell Center. So let's get on with the health insurance. So students must complete the online health insurance waiver every academic year. All F1 students are required to be enrolled in the school-sponsored health insurance plan unless they are dependent on a US-based and Affordable Care Act compliant plan through a US employer. The cost of the university-sponsored health insurance plan is not covered in your student tuition, and it shows up as a separate line item in your student account, in your bill, actually. Sorry. Next slide, please. The slide's not moving.
This is the next one. Did you want to go over that?
Oh, sorry. I didn't see the slide go happen. So the waiver form can be accessed by clicking on the Gallagher Student Health tile in the student's SCU portal. And students must be enrolled in at least 6 units in order to access their waiver form. Please confirm that when submitting the form that the information is correct, as errors in the form can delay processing. So just so you know, we do verify that all the health insurance information is active and for the coverage period. So all health insurance waivers must be verified. So in order for your health insurance charge to be reversed off your student account, the waiver must be approved. So what will initially happen is you'll submit the waiver and you'll get a thank you for submitting your waiver email. That is not an approved waiver email. You must wait for the approval email to come through in order to have the charge reversed out of your account. So if Gallagher is not able to verify your health insurance information, your waiver will not be approved. And reasons for why the waiver is not approved will be detailed and sent to you in the email to the student. So it's very important that the student keep up with emails and respond to the emails with additional documentation that needs to be presented, needs to be uploaded to the waiver as well. Next slide, please. So if your waiver is not approved, your students will get one of the following waiver statuses below to their SCU email. So keep in mind again, like the one-stop office, the health insurance office also continuously communicates with the students throughout the summer regarding health insurance. So either get a denied email, meaning that usually means that the waiver does not meet our health insurance requirements, such as it being like a ministry plan or a short-term medical plan, which we don't accept. Pending information, it means that we have reached out to your student saying that we're not able to verify the waiver. Please provide this information, so we can't. Pending review means you've submitted the information that we requested and we are currently looking at your waiver. And not submitted. This is a very important one because students think that they have submitted their waivers. In fact, they have not. We do send out waivers to students that have not submitted their waiver. So it is, like again, we said, very important to check emails and follow through, read the emails completely and follow through with the directions on those emails. So these are some very important deadlines. So by June 19th, the health insurance waiver must be completed and approved prior to being charged the annual premium for the insurance on the 26th. After July 26th, the health insurance form must be completed by the waiver deadline of September 22nd to have the health insurance charge reversed off within 3 to 5 business days. And then by August 21st, if the health insurance credit is not posted to your student account and financial arrangements to cover the health insurance charge are not completed, then a late fee will be charged and a hold will be placed on the student accounts. Next slide, please. By September 22nd, the health insurance waiver must be completed in order to have the health insurance charge reversed within 3 to 5 business days. After September 22nd, the health insurance charge will remain on the student account. The charge will not be reversed, and the student will be enrolled in the student health insurance plan. And I just really want to talk to all the parents right there. This is a very important thing. You don't want to miss this deadline. You absolutely do want to get this waiver in, because being double insured is like, being a double insured, it would be a very complicated process. So what will happen is actually, because the student, when they're enrolled on this plan, they will end up being the primary subscriber. So then the health insurance plan will become the primary plan, and then whatever plan which they're dependent on, it becomes their secondary plan. And it can mess with like your deductibles and your co-pays on your own plan as well. So just keep this in mind. If you do have your own health insurance, please make sure that your health insurance is approved. If you have any situations with getting paperwork or whatnot, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm willing to work around. Can't get any paperwork for Medi-Cal or something, please reach out to me. So late fees will apply if the health insurance charge remains on the student account after payment is due. Next slide. I think that's it. So if you have any questions, like I said, please feel free to reach out to me. That is my email and that is my phone number. Like I said, I'm always willing to work with students. We understand that you have certain situations, something might happen, but I can't help you unless you reach out to me. So please do reach out to me.
Great, thank you, Tammy and Stephanie. Great information. So it looks like we have about 11 minutes. And so I want to make sure that questions are answered in the chat, and that if there are any other questions, I'm going back to the contact information here. So we'll have this up on the screen. If there are any questions that were not answered in the chat, feel free to unmute, and you're welcome to ask any questions over the next 10 minutes, and we'll do our best to answer them. And then Santa Clara staff, if there's any questions that did not get answered in the chat, if you can let us know, and we can do our best to answer them.